Hello BookTube, this is Kelly with Books I'm Not Reading, and I'm here today to do my last tag of 2018, which is the Art Movement book tag. This is actually one of the most challenging tags I have done so far. This was originally created by Miriam at Between Lines and Life. I will link to her original tag below. And I was tagged by Celia, who I am hoping will be doing the My Neck of the Woods tag in 2019. Just a little gentle reminder there, Celia. Anyway, so let's dive in. Question number 1, Baroque. Name an extravagant book character or a character who lives an extravagant life. So for this, I am going with Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Darcy. I think he probably lives a pretty extravagant life. I think that's safe to say. Okay. The next one is Impressionism, a book that left a lasting impression on you, and tell us why. So, there are a few books like Pride and Prejudice and this next one that you're going to hear me repeatedly talk about on this channel, and I can't help it because I love these books. I just want everyone to read them, everyone to experience them. So, book that left a lasting impression on me is The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. And I'm always really excited when I hear another booktuber talk about Tim O'Brien. The thing is, the first chapter of the book I read in college. And I thought that it was just a short story. I had no idea that it was a whole book. And so I still remember the person I was talking to about The Things They Carried and where I was standing, and you know, that all of a sudden this person said to me, no, actually, Kelly, it's not just a short story, it's a whole book. And I made that person hunt down the book right then so that I could take it, borrow it, and take it with me and read it. And I just loved it. And the writing is so phenomenal. He is so underappreciated, I think. Anyway, so this is one of my favorite books. Expressionism. A book with a very personal and specific, possibly unique outlook on the world. So for this, I chose something a little bit unusual. This is called From Scratch Inside the Food Network by Alan Salkin. And I read this when it first, relatively soon after it first came out, because my husband and I love watching the Food Network. So I was curious about, like, how did this network get started? And it's actually in some ways quite a sad story, because the person who really is responsible for the success of the Food Network did not really benefit from it, did not really reap the rewards that he should have for creating the Food Network. Surrealism, a book that puts a spin on the reality of our living, or a sci-fi book that you would recommend. So I don't know if this counts, but I'm going to pick The Dog Stars by Peter Heller. I have read this book, I think, twice now. I love it. Anyway, it's a post-apocalyptic book. It takes place in Colorado. So there were definitely landmarks and things like that that I was familiar with. But it reminds me of The Road, but it's not maybe as graphic as The Road is. So if, like, The Road was hard for you to stomach, this might be something that you want to check out. It's really well written, very, very moving. Pointillism, a book where different narratives make the bigger pictures. I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I could not list this as my favorite book of 2018 on my litmus videos, because I wasn't done with it yet. I just finished it within the last few days, and it is told from different narratives. Such a great book, and I'm so glad that I finally read it. So again, just takes place in small town western community in Colorado, and it It's so beautiful and honest, and that's what I really, really love about it. So, I keep harping, I keep bringing this book up. Art, a book that criticizes consumerism or makes you look critically at our current times. So, this is a book called The 100 Thing Challenge by Dave Bruno. The subtitle is How I Got Rid of Almost Everything, Remade My Life, and Regained My Soul. So basically he tries to get his own personal possessions down to 100 things. And this really resonated with me because I think a lot about stuff, like the room stuff takes, how stuff accumulates. Really, my reading goal every year is like to keep reading the books that I already own. Obviously, I live with someone who loves even just staring at the bookshelves, wandering through this room and looking at the books. So, there's a little bit of tension there about like, let's read what we own so that then we can decide whether or not we want to keep it or share it with someone else and make room for new books. Number 7 is Dadaism, a weird book or a book that puts a spin on the novel format. So, I have no idea. I wasn't on BookTube when this book came out, so I have no idea. Like, what was going on BookTube when this came out, what the reaction was. But this is S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. Now, I do have to say, this is the library copy, okay? It comes in a slipcase. I was the first person at the public library to read this. I don't think it was on their radar at the time. So when you open it up, you see this book called Ship of Theseus by V.M. Straka. And then when you open up the book, see all of these notes. So basically there's this novel, and then there's a novel of these two, I think one's a grad student, maybe one's an undergrad student, I'm not exactly sure, 2 college students, same, who keep writing in the book and leaving it someplace for the other one to find, that sort of thing. And in the midst of all of that is this, which is all the ephemera that was in the book. So J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst were not thinking about library books when they published this, because this is the kind of stuff that is so easy to get stolen, misplaced. There's pictures, because they're trying to figure out who the author really is. It's one of the things, like they're trying to figure out, there's a compass, this kind of compassy thing at the back of the book. I can't even remember why. I honestly just remember when I read this book, I was so confused about what to focus on. Do I read Ship of Theseus and on every page try to read all the notes from the students? Should I go through and just read the novel and then go back and read all the notes from the 2 characters along with the ephemera? Like, I don't know. But it is definitely a play on what a novel is. I don't remember what happens. I don't remember. It just, because it was so overwhelming. Like, again, there's the mystery of who is the actual author of that book. And then there is, the story between the students. And then there's the book itself. And it was just, I think it was just on overload. So, anyway, if you've read this, I would really love to hear your thoughts. Actually, that's true on any of these books that I mentioned. And we're almost done here. So question number 8 is performance art, a book that would make a great movie or your favorite play. I'm really lucky. A lot of the books I love have been made into movies, and actually a lot of books that I mention in this, if they haven't already been made into movies, I think would probably be good movies. But I chose to go with this one, The Voyage of the Narwhal by Andrea Barrett. It's a great winter kind of book to read, as you can see from the cover. I read this when I got my wisdom teeth taken out, so I'm not sure how totally coherent I was. I do remember really enjoying it, and I do think it helped me get through the week of the wisdom teeth experience. So there's a couple bonus questions that I will link. We'll have all the questions below, and I will mention them just briefly. The bonus question number 1 is a fiction book that discusses or features art in some way. I didn't grab it off the shelf. I forgot to. I would probably say The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I wish that there was an edition of that book that actually included all the art that's discussed in it. I think that would be really fascinating, and it certainly would have helped me visualize things a little bit better. And question number 2, bonus question number 2, who's your favorite artist, or what's your favorite painting? And my favorite painting is Christina's World by Andrew Wyeth. Andrew Wyeth is probably my favorite artist. So I will have a little video at the end of this because I have a big print of Christina's World hanging upstairs. And you may have seen it in some previous videos if I was on the couch or something like that. So it has a prominent place in our home. Finally, there's some people I'd like to tag. I met a lot of new booktubers during Litmus, which was awesome, so great. So I want to tag these people because I would really like to hear what their answers are. So I would like to tag Very Fancy Dolly. She's an Australian booktuber. Literary Labors, Jenny Johnston, and Made with Books, who started her channel on Litmus. And I applaud her. I applaud her for that. And again, if you've read any of these books and have thoughts to share with me about them, I would love to hear that. So thank you so much for watching. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and have a great day.